Hi guys, let's make this super yummy and super easy dinner together. Okay, so I'm gonna start by heating up my Dutch oven, and I'm gonna put about a tablespoon of olive oil at the bottom, and I'm gonna let that get nice and hot while I chop up the second ingredient, which is onion. So I am starting with almost an entire large onion. This was fairly big, so I just took a little piece off and put it back in the fridge. But the goal is to end up with about 1 cup of finely chopped onion. Okay, the Dutch oven should be nice and hot now. This is done chopping. So I'm going to put this in the hot oil and start getting it caramelized and softened up. Okay, and here I have a large container of ground turkey. This is 3 pounds. I only need 1 pound, but this was on sale, so it came out to $2.60 a pound. So it was a lot cheaper than buying a 1 pound container. So I'm going to use the 1 pound that I need. I just cut it into 3 even pieces. And I'm going to put this in the oil with the onion because I want to start getting this browned up. And the rest of that, I'm going to put it in the freezer because I don't need it right now. So I'm just putting in the 1 pound of ground turkey. This is 90% lean ground turkey. And you can use beef if you want, but I'm just using turkey because it was on sale and it's a little leaner than the beef. And you're just going to put it in there with the onion. And I have the heat on medium, and I'm just going to let it start getting brown, but I'm going to season it first. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of garlic powder, just like that. And then I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. You can add more salt later, so don't do too much now. And I'm going to do some fresh cracked black pepper, about a teaspoon of black pepper. And again, you can always add more later. So I'm just going to break this up a little bit. I want to start getting the meat browned. Now, you do not want any big chunks of meat in here because we want everything evenly broken up and distributed with the pasta later. So you want nice small bits of ground meat. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. This is nice and browned, and I just want to break up the chunks. Again, we don't want any big chunks of meat. We want everything broken up really small because we want everything well incorporated with the pasta later. So I'm just breaking it up as much as I can. Normally, I would use my meat chopper, but I don't like to use that in my Dutch oven because I feel like I could damage the porcelain. So I try to use wood utensils as much as possible. So now that the meat is browned, I am adding a tablespoon of flour, and I'm going to mix that, incorporate it into the meat because I want the taste of the flour to disappear. I don't want raw flour. So I just want to mix that up, and I'm going to let it cook a little bit. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. If you don't have tomato paste, you can do about a tablespoon of tomato sauce if you're in a bind or a pinch, because not a lot of people have tomato paste on hand. I know I never do. I bought it specifically for this. So if you don't have tomato paste, you can just use some tomato sauce. It'll be fine. And just mix that up, get the tomato paste well incorporated into the meat. You want everything nice and evenly distributed. Okay, once that's broken down, the tomato paste, now we're going to add 3 cups of beef broth. I'm using low sodium beef broth, but you can use whatever kind you have, and it's 3 cups. And just mix that in really nicely. And then you're going to add 2 cups of milk. You can use 2% whole milk or skim milk. I'm using fat-free skim milk just because, I don't know, make it a little better. So you're going to pour in the 2 cups of milk and get that well incorporated, mixed everything in really nicely. And then you're going to add 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, if I'm saying that correctly. If you don't have this, you can also use soy sauce, but I feel like this gives it much better flavor. And I like the way it tastes way better. But again, if you're in a pinch, you can use soy sauce, just like you can use tomato sauce for the tomato paste. and just mix that nicely. Then you're going to take your 1 pound box of pasta. These are medium shells, and it's 1 pound. And you're just going to pour that into the mixture, just like that. Pour the whole box in. And now you want to give this a really, really good stir. You want every little shell to get coated in the broth and the milk, and scrape down the sides if there's any onions or anything stuck on the sides of the Dutch oven. The goal is to make sure all the pasta is under the liquid and covered, because now we're going to cover this and we're going to simmer it on medium low for about 25 minutes until the pasta is nice and soft, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so while I wait the 25 minutes for the pasta to finish boiling and getting tender, I am going to take the opportunity to pack up the other 2 pounds of turkey. Now, this is what I do. I buy the big container, and then I don't want to freeze it all in one block, because then when I need it, if I only need a pound, then I have to defrost the whole thing. So what I do is I take a piece of wax paper, and I take 1 pound and I put it on one piece of wax paper. Then I press it down, put another piece of wax paper on top, and then I take the other pound and I put it on top of that, and I press it down nice and flat, because it thaws faster the flatter it is, the thinner the chunk of meat is. And that's it. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in a big Ziploc bag. And that way, when I need 1 pound of ground turkey, I just open the Ziploc bag, pull out one of the pieces of wax paper with the 1 pound of turkey on top, and that's it. Put it on the counter and it defrosts in 30 minutes to an hour. It's defrosted. So simple and easy. Let me just wash my hands and then I'll put it in the bag, because I don't want to get raw turkey on the outside of the bag. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in the Ziploc bag just like this, and it's going to freeze flat in the freezer. And again, when I go to take it out, I just literally open the Ziploc bag and slide out one of the pieces of wax paper with 1 pound of turkey on top. Just make sure you get all the air out, and just make sure you get as much air out as possible. Make sure it's zippered really tight and perfect. And voila, right into the freezer, nice and flat, portioned. So after 15 minutes, you just want to check on it. I can see it's starting to simmer very slow. Just give it a stir to make sure that the pasta is cooking evenly. Make sure there's nothing stuck on the bottom. Sometimes the pasta, 1 or 2 little pieces will get stuck to the bottom. So just give it a nice stir. Make sure everything is nice and smooth. Anything at the bottom, just scrape it with a wooden spoon. And that's it. Make sure all the pasta is under the liquid, and then just cover it and let it finish the rest of the time to cook. It takes about 25 minutes in total for this to cook. So just cover it back up and let it finish the rest of the time. Okay, so the timer is going off. It did a full 25 minutes. You could see it simmering. So I'm just going to give it a stir. Make sure nothing's stuck to the bottom. Give everything a nice stir. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to try one of the shells. And I'm going to make sure that it is to my liking. Some people like their pasta al dente. Some people like it softer. So I'm just going to give it a try and see if it's to my liking. Okay, so for me, this is perfect. To me, it's al dente, but I know my family likes their pasta soft. My kids, my husband, they like their pasta on the softer side. So I'm going to cover this back up and I'm going to cook it for another 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll check it again. Okay, so it's been another 10 minutes and voila. That looks perfect. And I already know the pasta is going to be soft how they like it. So I don't need to taste this. I'm just going to give it a nice stir, because now the final step is to add the cheddar cheese. So you need 8 ounces of cheese. You can get a block and shred it. It's basically 2 cups of cheese that you need. This was on sale, so I went the convenience route today. And you're going to take the Dutch oven off the heat and pour the cheese in. And then you're going to give it a nice stir, get everything melted and well incorporated. If you hear some weird grumbling sound, it's not me and it's not my stomach. That's my dog. She's on the floor standing next to me, groaning and grumbling, wanting me to give her something. But I can't give her any of this because it has garlic and onions and that'll just make her sick. She's an old dog. She's 17 years old. But anyway, at this point, I'm going to give it a taste just for salt purposes. I want to make sure it's seasoned well. Like I said, I didn't put a lot of salt in the beginning and I used low sodium beef broth because you can always add salt later, but you can't take any out. So this needs a little bit more. So I'm just going to put another teaspoon of salt and give everything a nice stir. Get that all mixed in perfectly. And that's it. You're going to be ready to serve. Look at that nice warm pot of pasta with meat and that cheesy milk beef broth sauce. Super yummy, super comfort food. You, that was her again, trying to get me to give her some, but unfortunately she can't have this. And dinner is served. So that is the homemade, I'm going to call it play on Hamburger Helper. And I'm serving that with a salad, which has kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, some pumpkin seeds, some avocado, and it has a poppy seed dressing. And that's it. So we have sweet and crunchy and cold with hot, soft, and warm. Perfect contrast to each other. Perfect combination on the plate. Thanks for watching. I hope I gave you an idea for dinner. And if you try it, I hope you love it as much as we do. Bye.